Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram 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 Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram
Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram
Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram
Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram
Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram
Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram
Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram
Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram
Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram
Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram
Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram
Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram
Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram
Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram
Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram
Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Hari Om to everybody. Pranams to Puja Tapoji Maharaj, pranams to Puja Gurudev, Swami Chantanji Maharaj, pranams to everyone here. As soon as we heard about the Chinmaya mission in Dallas, and when God facilitated us to come here, we were reminded of our old memories dating back to 1960s, early 60s. You might be knowing that we all come from Anandashram, which is situated in South India, in Kerala state, founded by Param Puja Papa Swami Ramdas and Param Puja Mataji Krishnabai in 1931. At the time of inauguration, Param Puja Papa made it clear that the ideal of the ashram is universal love and service, based upon the vision of divinity in everybody. The vision of divinity, as you all know, is the common factor in all of us. Unknowingly, unwittingly, we are not aware of this common factor. We try to interact with the world and men and matters from the individual standpoint. The moment we start identifying the common factor, we will be able to come out of the cage of me and mine and keep on expanding our love circle, which will result in universal love and service. For enabling us to have this vision of divinity, drawn from his own experience, he has placed before us a triune path: Nam, Seva, Dhyan. We give a name to that common factor and chant with faith and devotion. Initially, it may be everybody chants, we also join. Maybe at the lip level, superficial level. Sometimes it slips into ritualistic, But later on, we will slowly enter into the real purpose of chanting, where Papa has given us guidance. He says we have to keep on remembering while chanting that we are chanting the name of one who is seated within and who is making me to chant. He also knows that none of us will be able to chant throughout the waking state. We have been given 3 tires in our life, namely the family, profession, society. So how do we keep up the remembrance? Of the 3, chanting is very important, preeminent. Because when we chant the name with all intensity, with all devotion, the impact of which will remain with us even while we are not chanting. So whenever we go off the line during our non-chanting time, Nama will pull us up. Suppose a word that should not have been uttered, a deed that should not have been done, a thought that should not have been welled up in our heart. Immediately we will be pulled up. Hey, what are you talking? What are you thinking? What are you doing? So that will correct the process whenever we go off the line. So with that background, when we involve in various activities at the family level, professional level, social level, Papa's words are, outer activities should be compatible with inner aspiration. What is the inner aspiration? To remember him. To remember him, to know him, to realize him, and finally to hand ourselves over to him. If this is very clear to all of us, then whatever activities that we are made to do, it will carry the stamp of this particular aspect. It should be compatible with that. It starts from the minutest to the grossest. To him, there is no divide between spiritual and mundane. Because God, the indwelling reality, is within us. In total disregard to the fact that whether we are wearing this, whether we are wearing that, whether he is a man or woman, illiterate or literate, there is absolutely no differentiation. The spirit within us, the Atman within us, is one and the same. So while handling men and matters at the non-chanting time, some guidelines as to what we should have, and it is, everything should be handled with a touch of love, with a touch of perfection, with a touch of dedication, with a touch of gratitude. Normally, impulsively, we may react to events and individuals at these three levels. But if we are steadfast in holding on to the name will surely pull us up and put us on the rails. And this is what is called seva. And it should start from the minutest. Nothing is irrelevant, nothing is unimportant, nothing is insignificant. Because we know we ourselves owe our origin to him. Because when we were all in the form of a seed in our mother's womb, the present me and mine in all of us had no role in it. We were not consulted. As Nisargadatta Maharaj used to say, we were not consulted. And after that we started growing up. In the 9.5 months we were blessed with 200 and odd organs. And then when we came, we did not bring anything with us. Whatever is basically needed for our existence, like the air we breathe, the water we drink, the earth on which we stand, the space in which we move about, the 98.4 degrees to keep us alive, sun, rains, metals, minerals, gases, trees, fruits, pulses, all have been provided. He has made it ready before we came in the form of Mother Nature. As we started growing, we needed a lot of creature comforts. The Lord who has given us this life, He has also prompted His chosen instruments periodically to discover, invent and innovate various things to improve our comfortable life. So He is the originator. We all say, in Bhagavad Gita, Bijam Mam Sarvabhutanam. I am the eternal seed of everything. Buddhir Buddhivatam-asmi, I am the intelligence of the intellect. So by touching and kindling His selected instruments, He has been giving to us all the creature comforts. So nothing is irrelevant, nothing is unimportant, nothing is insignificant. So we handle everything, not only human beings, not only birds and animals, not only plants and trees, not only insects, but also inert, insentient matter. Even a gem clip has got its own, it has got a place in the scheme of things. Anything. So Papa says, when you handle it, you have this mantra. You are handling His gift. Even the very language we speak now, it's a gift of somebody. So when we use this language, it is a payback to Him. Vangmaya tapas, we have studied in Bhagavad Gita. So this is what we are offering to Him. So anything, when there is no water in a bottle, He made somebody to think about it. When there is no glass, He made it. When there is no chair, when there is no building, we look at it, Similarly, when there is no language, everything is a gift of Him. So during the non-chanting time, we try to maintain this. We may fail, we may forget, because our old habit of evaluating everything from the me and mine level makes us oblivious of this truth behind it. So naturally, immediately, if we are steadfast with all this bhava when we do chanting, even if it is for 5 minutes, it will remind us and put us on the rails. When we sufficiently bring all these dimensions while chanting and while handling affairs at the family level, professional level and social level, the mind becomes relatively peaceful, receptive, and then we try to take to inward journey to feel His presence. So the first one is to remember Him. The second one is to slowly translate this devotion in all that we do, in all that we think, in all that we talk. And the third one is to feel His presence inside. There also Papa guides us that there are 3 types of chanting. Not that one should go through the 3 types of chanting. It is absolutely left to us. If you are in a position to enter into the inner chamber through vocal chanting, perfectly all right. But the next type of chanting is silent chanting, where the lip and tongue will move, sound will not come. Even while we are vocally chanting, there should be a conscious effort on our part to knowingly chant, to ensure that the outgoing tendencies of the mind are arrested. Knowingly chant, we should hear our own chanting. So the same applies to the silent chanting. So first when we say Om Shri, any name that is comfortable for us. Probably in order to have uniformity in the sadhana, Puja Mataji introduced Ram Nam, that's the one which you have heard now. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. So when we vocally chant Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. So we should hear our own chanting, so that the chanting serves as a fence, as it were. So the outgoing tendency of the mind will get definitely stop. But it may not remain with us for a long time. After a minute or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, still the mind may go out. It depends upon how one takes to this practice. And the second one is silent chanting, where the sound will not come, but lip and tongue will move, but we must hear our own chanting. Here also we should hear our own chanting. Again and again, by repeatedly practicing abhyas, the mind becomes relatively peaceful and calm, serene. And the final graduation is mental chanting, where the sound will not come, the lip and tongue will not move, but we should mentally chant, mentally hear. Here also, after a few chanting, the mind may still try to go out. The only method is to immediately open our eyes and restart. There is no other shortcut. As we keep on doing this, a stage will come when no other thoughts are there. We are paving the way, knowingly or unknowingly, for the emergence of the witness consciousness in us. Sarvadi Sakshi Bhudam. And at that moment, we get a peep into that consciousness absolute. Might be for a trice, might be for a few seconds or a minute or 2. But when the Lord takes us to Him, He makes us to just open the door, just peep into it, again we are back to square one. So this we try to stabilize ourselves in this. So for that we should, people like us who are involved in various activities, who are not exclusively sitting for this, who have got their own family commitments, professional challenges, social duties, we have to keep on trying this. This sadhana is not earmarked for any specific time. Right from the moment we get up till we retire to bed, we try to find some slots where we can try this. Even when we are in the office, it is not that throughout the 8 hours we are in. There may be some pause moments, at least a few pause moments, where we try, The advantage is all the creature comforts which are there, each one will remind. Acharya Vinoba Bhave, you might have heard, he had written a book, very highly, spiritually highly evolved soul. On Talks on Gita, he writes, the whole creation is the Lord's book. In every page is written the name of God. So when we see anything, whether it is a muffler, whether it is a chair, whether it is a fruit, whether it is a building, we don't have to search for him outside. If we are seeing it as only as a creature comfort, we are missing him. But if we see the signature of name of God in that, we are getting connected. So even while we are sitting on a project before the computer, even while the AC is on, even while you are doing it, suddenly, for a moment, split second, oh, it's a gift. When there is no computer in the world, when there is no language in the world, you brought it through one of his creation. Like that, we have immediately connected ourselves. So one of his quotation is, behold divinity in every aspect of this world Leela. Verily he is at play in all beings and creatures. And when we go out, through one more quotation, he immediately makes us to identify ourselves totally with the creation. The world we live in is a school in which observation and experience offer us immense possibilities for self-improvement. Nay, the world itself is Guru or God. That means we don't have to seek him anywhere. The world we live in is a school in which observation and experience offer us immense possibilities for self-improvement. Nay, the world itself is Guru or God. Because nothing is irrelevant, nothing is unimportant, nothing is insignificant. So the mainstay of the ashram is chanting of God's name, Ram Nam. And various other activities are silently going on. People, when they come to know, they write to us or visit us, stay for 2 or 3 or 4 days, join their program. Nobody will be asked to do anything. Everyone can have their own method, but there is a routine going on for enabling us to touch and kindle in us the various aspects of this. Chanting is going on, bhajan will be there, not much of any rituals, only arati and morning flower offering. Stay for 2 or 3 or 4 days. And they get the inner prompting to go deeper into these aspects. Though Papa uttered these words, the whole ashram activities have been designed by Puja Mataji. She is the Shakti behind it. Papa used to call her as the Adhisthana Devata of the ashram, chosen deity. Everywhere there will be a touch of Mataji. Mataji could scale the heights. Papa scaled the heights by resorting to this method. From 1920 to 1922, Vittal Rao, that was his name, he was a grihastha. He had a dyeing unit, textile. It became sick. The business started sliding down, mounting liabilities, At home, wife was an arthritis patient. She was having orthodox views. He was having progressive views. So there was a wide gap. So he was in terrible stress. At that time, according to as per one of his articles, when Mahatmaji came to Mangalore, that was the place where Vittal Rao was staying with his family. Papa also was one among according to Google Baba's revelations. We had no other source. There were about 10,000 people attended on those days in 1920, and Vittal Rao was one among them. And Papa has written that was the first spiritual touch. You all know that Gandhiji was a votary of Ram Nam, and his Ram was the universal Ram. He defined Ram as the mysterious power. Papa later on defined Ram as the subtle and mysterious power. So when he heard Gandhiji, what he has written is, there was an inexplicable, pleasant feeling welled up in his heart. And from that day onwards, he was chanting Ram, 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 Ram. And along with chanting, he was also reading. Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Light of Asia, New Testament, Gandhiji's Young India and Ethical Religion, and serious texts like Yoga Vasishta, Swami Ramtirtha's teachings, all these, was going on along with the chanting. So slowly chanting was occupying his mind space more and more. He was getting freed from the clutches of the comfort zones. So all his physical requirements started receding. Instead of 3 times food, 2 times, then 1 time. That too only boiled potatoes with nothing. Simple dress, simple one. So many things, because more and more mind space is allotted for God remembrance. And at that time, everybody became panicky in his family. Something has gone wrong with him. Papa has written there were days when he used to chant 22 hours out of 24 hours. He removed a separate room. So his only daughter and wife became up. They were terribly worried. Something has gone wrong with him. He is not in the common run of life. So brothers were there. They all tried. And his father was there in Udupi at that time. Word was sent. He rushed up. He was also a spiritually evolved soul. So the moment he saw Papa, he could understand that nothing is wrong with him. Something which is on a higher level is taking place in him. So he asked, son, what happened? And Papa said, God is making me to repeat his name. God is making me to repeat his name. So he was started reveling in this bliss. So immediately his father said, come on, sit down. I will give you a mantra which has been given to me by a sannyasi, and he has assured me that it will give me peace. And then he made him to repeat 3 times, Sri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Later on, after reading Swami Ramtirtha's book, you might be knowing that Swami Ramtirtha gave a lot of importance for Pranava mantra. So he added Om to it. And then started intensifying his sadhana. And on December 27th, in 1922, when the sadhana had reached almost its peak, he took the plunge of leaving everything to the indwelling and all-pervading reality, and left Mangalore. When we are in our own place, whatever austerities we may perform, whatever attitude we try to develop, still there is a protective umbrella. And we may be having a lot of concepts, but when we are exposed, how do we react to events and individuals? Do we see God in them, or start labeling positive, negative, good, bad, favorable, not favorable? So this God made him to take a plunge, and then that Parivrajaka Yatra. It started on 27th, and on 28th, mysteriously he was led to Srirangam, where the prompting came to offer the white clothes to Mother Kaveri. Everything is non-traditional. Put on the ochre robes, named himself as the Das of Ram, Ramdas. Divested him of all the possessions excepting one more extra dress and a few books. Fully, totally relying on him and him and him only. Swami was telling, the first book, In Quest of God, it's a perennial source of inspiration for all of us. Also, he came back, and this is a brief thing about Papa. So his philosophy, drawn from his own experience, is whatever is happening only by the will of God, and whatever is happening for our ultimate good. At the moment we may put a label, gain, loss, good, bad, but ultimately it is for freeing us from so many conceptual presence we have put ourselves into, and to feel his presence everywhere. Bliss absolute. And God similarly enacted another drama by making Puja Mataji to join him. And then the ashram was set up. So that is why a lot of importance is given for the Nama chanting. When we come to ashram, the moment we see Gurudev's photo, we had the privilege of attending his Gita Jnana Yajna in 1961 at Chennai, where we were employed then. And in 1963, Sundar, Chinmaya Mission was having its 10th year celebration. At that time, in a choking voice, Gurudev uttered these words. We are assembling here for the 10th anniversary celebration of the Chinmaya Mission under a very sad shadow. Is this clear, or should I move a little this? Very clear. Everybody can see that. Under the shadow of the demise of two mighty missionaries of this country, we are left alone like orphans. Swami Shivananda, who was working very hard, who made a mark in this era, is no more. So was Swami Ramdas of Kanjangad, who had indeed made a temple of sadhana in his own ashram. They are no more with us. In this sad, gloomy darkness of the spiritual kingdom of the country, when we look around, we are almost left alone without anyone to lead us to light. They are not doing it in the sense of any missionary work. In our own time, Shivananda and Ramdas did such mighty work. We do not find now any institution wherein seekers can get personal or individual attention. In this condition, it is all the more incumbent upon us to stand together, and in our total strength we come to a certain strength which these mighty masters themselves could individually give to the country. This was Gurudev's talk in 1963 in Chennai, which had appeared in the Tapovan Prasad later. Actually, when we remember all those, but not the exact words, So in 1999, when we went to Siddhabari to pay our respects to Gurudev in the Samadhi, we were allotted a room, and in that room, old editions of Tapovan Prasad were there, stacked on the loft. Somehow the prompting came to look for this, and luckily we were able to get the Tapovan Prasad. And then immediately we wrote down these words. We remembered, but not exactly the words, Time has elapsed, and then we got it typed and kept it. Every time how he led us to Anandashram. So in 63, you might be knowing that it was on the 15th July, Swami Shivanji Maharaj dropped his body, and it was on 25th July, Papa dropped his body. On the same month, 10 days difference. So in 63 we couldn't go, 64 we went there, and then we had the darshan of Puja Mataji. To share some thoughts about our days in Chennai. Swamiji is, was, and will be a great source of inspiration to all of us. We were remembering when he took the first global tour and came back in 1964, he said, when the reception was given to him in Chennai, he shared with us the wonderful experience he had, how a group of scientists took him to task, and how the concept of blending spiritual science and material science, how Gurudev was able to unleash or make it open. It was wonderful. In 65, when he came to Chennai, when the country was facing war, acute shortage of gold balance, and acute shortage of rice, Panditji had dropped the body and Lal Bahadur Shastri was the Prime Minister. He gave a clarion call of Jai Kisan, Jai Jawan, and he requested Gurudev to go to the war front to inspire the Jawans there. And after that, when Swamiji came, then he asked us to have 2 more pavilions in the Yajnashala, one rice bank, the other gold bank. So a pavilion was put up. State Bank of India people were requested to come every day evening. Normally, as you all know, the Yajna will be 6:30 to 8. But at 6 o'clock, Gurudev will be there. It's 6 o'clock, sharp. And he will be sitting with the appraiser of the bank. He requested every mothers who had come, if you have 2 bangles, 1 bangle. If you have got 2 necklaces or something like that, 1. If you have got 2 rings, 1. When the company needs it, you cannot wear it for yourself. And Swamiji was sitting, so nobody can say no. And he is religiously sit there, everyone will come, offer whatever they have. And the another touching scene is, he made an announcement on the first day that when you cook for your family, you take a handful of rice or whatever is possible, put it in a bag, bring it here. There are many who are not having, it has to be passed on. So someone in our team asked Swamiji, Swamiji, they will bring different, 1/4 of this area will be the rice bank. It was full. Every time they bring rice, before they sit, they will bring in their bag, and then we put it in the gunny bag, and when it is 50 or 60 kilos, we stitch it. And on the final day, one day before that, we are reliving those moments. Swamiji said, try to get your chief minister here. So Bhaktavasalam was the chief minister. Word was sent through somebody. Because Swamiji is there, he said, yes, I am coming. So when he came there, he sat like this. Swamiji was saying, Swamiji, he said, I have no belief in your department, but devotees, every day before they cook, they have brought it for the Daridra Narayans, for have-nots. So we have no other forum to entrust this to you, but you have to personally ensure that it reaches to the most deserving segment of the society. For generations you will suffer. He was a great person, Bhaktavasalam also. He immediately got up, took his this thing, put here, gave his Ashtanga Pranam. I will personally ensure, Swamiji. And during the wartime, we were all given the circular. Every day after we go back from the office on time, but probably 6:30 to 8, 6:30 to 7, then we have to chant Mahamantra. With the prayer that the war should end as early as possible. So by that process he was making us to enhance, from the individual level to a higher level, to a wider level. Every day religious, and the war ended, of course, after that. There have been many such instances where spirituality is not to be confined within the four walls of a building or an ashram or a temple or various austerities we are performing. Also know God is giving us an opportunity to love Him and serve Him by creating certain situations which normally we name it as adverse. But actually, as we keep on going further, we realize that it is only to prove a field for expanding ourselves. Otherwise, how will we know that, no? What a joy it was to receive that rice. Because it is not a rice-giving ceremony, no? It's something more than that. So we are trying to connect himself in his vibhuti, in his Vishwarupa. There is a conscious effort on our part to expand our love circle, become sensitive to the demands and suffering of the creation in and around. And he was trying to bring this. So many such sessions we had. Recently, when we were making an effort to go deep into Srimad Bhagavad Gita, morning hours, many of you might be knowing. We don't know whether that was there here. On those days when Gurudev visits a place, evening it will be Bhagavad Gita. Morning 1 hour, it will be on some Prakarana Granthas, Atmabodh, Tattvabodh, Vivek Chudamani, Bhajagovindam. It will be from 6:30 to 7:30, something like that, morning. So we have to reach that place before 6:30. Swamiji will not permit anybody to come after 6:30. Everybody is alert. By 6:25 we should be at the venue. Not all people will be there, 100, 200 people. And then immediately after that we have to get back to the office, which starts at 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock. But then still we won't miss it, because every such talk was linked to the daily life. It was not confined to the, the academic exercise or intellectual level. So we cannot lose one day. So some time back when we were taking up this in-depth study of Bhagavad Gita, we once remembered in the 7th chapter, the multiplicity of Jnana Vijnana Yoga. When the source is one, why this varied manifestation? In the same house we have, suppose nowadays of course children are limited, but in our period, our mother delivered 9 children. So but each one is unique, separate, nobody is alike. Though the source God is one, why this multiplicity? So when this question was handled during the Atma Bodh, sorry, not Atma Bodh, Bhajagovindam, when he was taking up this stanza, Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam, Punarapi Janani Jatade Shayanam, Iha Samsare Bahudustare Prapayapare Pahimurare. At that time, he said these words, extempore. Later on it got it printed also. The enjoyment of pleasure and pain. Enjoyment of pleasure and pain in this physical body is determined by our past karmas. Thought by thought, action by action, we have demanded the present body and mental equipment. In fact, even while we are alive and acting now, here now, we order the shape of our future life. Unless we conquer the bad vasanas by right conduct and practice systematically, the righteous values of life, we do not come to live in an atmosphere in which our thoughts and actions are sufficiently divine and to be directly helpful for our own progressive evolution. It therefore now rests with us to make or mar our progress, to get a better life with plenty of opportunities in which we can slowly and steadily go forward and ultimately come to realize the truth, supreme truth, or to get a wicked one in which we can dive ourselves in a greater gloom. With our own action, we give a blueprint to God, ordering the exact shape of our destiny, and according to the specification given, the body, the tent of experience, is built and handed over to each one of us by the all-merciful, omnipotent, divine Creator. Why we are quoting this, about a month, 3-4 months back when we were in Calcutta, spending a lot of time with no other disturbance. Suddenly we remembered this blueprint. When we were going through the 7th chapter. And then, luckily, God is providing us through science and technology, and of course, Google Baba. He led us to this, and the same words which we heard many years back, immediately we put it in writing. So that it's a great reminder to all of us. Whatever we do now is the one that is going to decide about our next birth. So like that, he brings out certain, the way of expression is such that it gets stamped on your mind. Just like when we learn cycling, we may fall half a dozen times with bruises and all those things. But by our perseverant, patient attempt, one day we get the balance, and the balance will never leave us. Even if we don't do the cycling for years together. Similarly, when we repeatedly try to hear and absorb attentively to the words of wisdom of masters, it leaves such a deep impression in our mind that whenever the need arises, it immediately wells up. That is why they are all immortal, no? They would have dropped the body, but they continue to live in and through us. How much we have time? Do you have time now? How much we have time?
30 more minutes.
Huh?
30 நிமிஷம்.
40. Anybody would like to know anything about ashram? Something like an interactive session.
Can Swamiji tell us more about Swamiji's interaction with Mother?
Interaction with
Mother.
Mother. So right from 64, almost every year opportunities were provided to visit ashram. And as soon as we enter the ashram, we straight go to Puja Mataji's room. It is always open. No prior appointment is necessary, nothing is necessary. On that day, first when we met, the untold message she gave us was, under the banner of spirituality, we can do anything. But we should be very clear that the ultimate goal is to reach a state of absence of otherness, which is called love, no? Whether we are in a position to come out of the cage of me and mine. And there, she also, through many words, she makes us to observe many of her dealings. She has not told us to do anything. No advice, no dictum, no dogma. The moment we enter into her room, she will say, you sit in the moda, and allow us to watch her. And then she made us realize that whatever may be our level of spiritual progress, we should always try to identify ourselves with the field outside. So that no tall talk, no big platform. In her, we could find, though she was able to scale the heights, she was also an earthly mother to everybody. Anybody who steps into her room will feel that we have got a space in her heart. So every time when we go, it was a tough job to take leave of her. How to say that we would like to go tomorrow, no? So we will be finding difficult to express, and she will watch. When do you want to go? She will ask. Then we say that. And at the time of leaving, you can see how mothers give so many things to their children, no? She herself will came out, there will be a small room, not room, that is a small space between Bhajan hall and Mataji's room. there will be lot of dabpas, tins. She herself will come and sit, open the dabba, put something in it. So we used to tell Mataji, Mataji, we are staying alone. That is why I am giving you more. For everything, she, just like an earthly mother. So she was trying to make us understand, don't think that there is any difference between this and that. Spirituality means we are trying to understand the common factor in all creations. And Papa used to say he is equal, he is in entirety, in all. Only the degree of revelation changes. Somebody knows he is more, he is there. Somebody knows I am there and he is there, either in the temple or ashram or guru. So the degree of revelation changes, that's all. Otherwise, in truth, essentially, intrinsically, he is there in entirety. So Mataji used to always, she will not tell us, but through many of her actions, she used to touch and kindle these aspects. After a couple of hours sitting, she will ask us to go. And Puja Swami Sachidananda Ji, who joined the ashram in 1949, who became the spiritual head after Mataji's Samadhi, with whom also we were blessed to spend about 10-15 years. So he used to share some of the experience he had with Puja Mataji. How spirituality in daily life is touched, kindled and made known. So many, ashram also is involved in various activities. Mataji will take up so many projects. The ideal of the ashram is, there is no planning. Everything is left to God. Mataji used to name God as Papa. So when somebody is not having a place to live in, Mataji will buy a site, build a house, hand over. Somebody is in distress, they need some help for employment, self-employment, for medical aid, for educational aid. Even now, by their grace, the legacy goes on, all silently. Only the benefactor and the beneficiary will know. And Mataji was once asked, on those days, the income was not there much. So she used to, whenever any devotee comes, she used to take money from them. In our language, it is borrowing. In Mataji's language, it is not borrowing, taking from one child and giving to another. And when this child needs something, she will take it somewhere to another. And in a lighter vein, she used to say, borrowing is my duty, clearing is Papa's duty. And mysteriously somebody will come on the month end or they will go to the office and see the creditors list and they will square it off. Again Mataji will start. Papa used to say, Mataji's ways nobody can understand the mind, how it works. So when on one day, and Swamiji, Puja Swamiji is, to give you some picture about him, word picture, our lowest sound is his highest sound. Such a soft person. So as he was entering into Mataji's room, one petitioner was there. So they asked something, Swamiji answered something again. Then Swamiji entered into the Mataji's room. So Mataji immediately asked, why did you raise your voice? So Swamiji said she was asking something. So we had answered. Again she was asking. So we answered. Probably in that you would have raised the voice. So immediately she said, why do they raise their voice? Because of their emergent nature, no? Anyway, you have solved ashram's problem, disposed of. What about her problem? That means nobody is a stranger, no? From the administrative level, we will have some norms, But while discharging, going through that norms, this should not be lost sight of for a spiritual aspirant. Whatever may be our limitations, even if we cannot say no, even then a loving touch should be there and an assurance that we will do it whenever opportunities are conducive for us to do it. So Mataji was meticulous. One more incident that comes to our mind is in 2003, 2002 or 3, when Gujarat was subjected to go through an earthquake. Many people lost everything. So when the news came, previously when there was something in Latur in Maharashtra, ashram sent some money, that's all. So we told Puja Swamiji that instead of sending money, we will build 10 houses and give. Swamiji said, why limit 10, 20 we will do it. So we immediately got in touch with ashram devotees in Ahmedabad to find out the location, where we should, the segment which is affected. She moved from pillar to post in the government circle and she couldn't get any clue. We have been following it. And finally she decided to start herself, taking leave. She was working in LIC. So she took leave and made a search, and finally she was able to locate a village near Morbi, Danu. And he informed us when we went there, saw, they were all sitting in the amongst the debris, everything has been brought to the dust, and in between they clear and have a stove, eat, prepare something and eat. Very pitiable sight. So we called the Mukhya of their group and then said, how many are there? So finally, after a couple of hours, they came and told us 150 people have lost in this. So we told them, you have to find out the space with the government. And when you get the site, you inform us. We will try to help. And then we worked out the details and we went back. Later, we were informed that they were able to get land for the colony. And in ashram, does not ask, mobilize anything from anybody, nothing, zero. Guided by Papa's quotation that God arranges all things in his own way, at the time he appoints. These are all his words. And these 92 years it has been going on like this. So for this project also we did not inform anybody, excepting in the ashram magazine. We made this detail, that's all. Anyhow, by their grace, in 1 year time, we were able to complete 150 houses. And there was a ceremony on the Akshaya Tritiya day, handed it over to everybody individually. We came back and reported all these to Puja Swamiji. In 1 year. There was no publicity, nobody else knew about it. So we were coming in a jubilant mood, So when we explained everything to Puja Swamiji, he did not utter a word. Then finally he said, what are we doing? We are only spending what is received. What was Mataji doing? She was spending what is not received. And then he remembered, once we were on a tour in Gujarat, suddenly Papa was there, Mataji was there, Puja Swamiji was also there. She saw ladies, bringing water on pots, on their head. And she saw the mud-walled, thatched houses. So she asked the driver to stop. Mataji came out, looked at all these things, and she said, When am I going to build houses for them? So Puja Swami said, her sankalpa on the Gujarat soil, now got fulfilled. We did not know this background, but we named it as Krishnanagar. Mataji's name is Krishnabai. So the actual, identifying ourselves with his creation. Nobody is irrelevant, nobody is unimportant, nobody is insignificant. In letter and spirit, she was conveying this through her actions, words. And later on, after Mataji's Samadhi, we could see the same thing in Puja Swamiji also. The love for all. So the approach is, God gives us the opportunity. A field is not created by us, nobody can arrogate. Somebody comes at our doorstep and says he has not eaten for 2 days and he looks emaciated. Naturally, what will be your reaction? You will go to the langar, go to the kitchen. Whatever that is there, you will come and give it to him. And when he takes a couple of morsel of food, he looks at you. That look you will never forget. And somebody seeing your action, he will say how compassionate you are. You realize it is not, God gave us an opportunity to know that he is there in the form of compassion in our heart. He could have chosen somebody's room and house, So he chose my house. And he saw to it that something is left over. And he gave us a prompting to attend. Suppose you are going to the office in a hurry, to the airport, to the bus stand, to the train, railway station. You will say somebody, give him something and you will go, But on that particular day, he made you to see that you give, So you remember that God has given this wonderful opportunity. So it is not the act of charity that doesn't come there. It is an act of his grace to make us know that he is there in everybody. So like that, Mataji used to, Mataji's life, if we closely go through, we can find all these profound realities expressing acts of love, not through words. Acts of love, not through words. Highest regard for everybody. Vinobaji came on this Padayatra, Bhutan, sometime during 56 or 57. Everybody said he has no time to come. Somebody went and told him, you are passing through Kanjangad, there is an ashram. So the organizers said, no, he has no time, because minute by minute they have planned. But when Vinobaji was told about Anandashram, he said, yes, we will go, we will stay there. So he came, he was received, Papa was there. Everything has been recorded in the Ashram magazine. Next day, early morning, 5 o'clock, he would leave. He was a strict disciplinarian in every sense. So, Mataji took milk and was proceeding toward the place where Vinobaji was camping. So everybody said he won't take. Mataji did not react. She went there with the milk. She told Vinobaji, please take this. Then he said, I don't normally take it. Normally okay, now you take this. He couldn't say no. That is Mataji. Vinobaji was such a saint, you might be knowing that when he had the heart attack, he had written a beautiful book, Talks on Gita. When Gandhiji chose him as the first individual Satyagrahi in 1931 or 32, he was put in prison. At that time, the co-prisoners requested him to share. So every week he used to share on one chapter in Marathi. Somebody was kind enough to jot down, and later Vinobaji himself translated this into English. There in the second chapter, he gives elaborately on the transient nature of the body. And he has said, we should try to keep it as healthy as possible to make it a useful instrument for his service. But when it is beyond repair, we must be able to condemn it. When he, at his 85th year, when he had an heart attack, when doctors rushed in and they said you should be admitted, Vinobaji said no. Then said we will bring all those things and this will be treated as an ICU. He said no. Then they brought the medicines and everything. So next day he declared, no medicine, no food, no water. He himself went near Nagpur. There is an ashram which was set up by Vinobaji, Brahma Vidya Gendram. It is actually manned by ladies only, exclusively for women sadhakas. So there is a raised platform, a small platform. There he went, stretched himself. And he was very weak. Their nama is Ram Hari. So he was doing Ram Hari, Ram Hari, Ram Hari. And on the seventh day, he dropped the body. What he had written in 1932, that is Vinobaji, when we are talking about strict disciplinarian. But Mataji could make him to take that. So, one saptaha is necessary to share so many of Mataji's. And there are so many things which we can try to imbibe, Suppose the more we think about all these things, it is not for emotional satisfaction or sentimental satisfaction or revering them from at a superficial level. It is that Mataji was bringing everything through the action. The highest philosophy through every action, minute. In her room, whatever it is there, nobody could understand Mataji's language. She will say, this is Papa, this is Papa, this is Papa, like that, So everything is handled with that bhavana. Everything is a form of God. Vinobaji, when he wrote like that, entire creation is something like God's book. And in every page it is written the name of God. How to understand that? Only through this, handling with a touch of love. And Papa used to say, never in a slipshod, irregular, half-hearted way. Anything that we do. So these are all some of the things we wanted to share in this holy ashram. We are very, very happy to remember all those things. And later on also, after Papa dropped the body, when Gurudev passed through Kanyangad, there is a Chinmaya mission in Kanyangad also, they have schools. And the Kerala head, Swami Muktananda Maharaj, he is staying in Kasaragod, about 40 kilometers from ashram. Regular touch, any Swami visiting in that area, they will come, at least spend some time, including Tejomanji Maharaj and now Surupanji Maharaj, whenever they pass through. So there is a close bond with all ashrams and definitely with Chinmaya Mission. To us personally, every visit to any Chinmaya Mission center immediately makes us to relive those wonderful moments when Swamiji used to touch and kindle. One more incident, yes. It must be in mid-60s. Our office hours was 8 to 5 and the Yajnashala is about, say, 20 minutes walk. So as a volunteer, we were in charge of the cycle stand. So we have to carry the tokens and the chalk. Every time the cycle comes, you have to put the number, give the token to them, and there will be a box, 10 paise they will put. So we were every day, immediately after 5 o'clock, we had a wonderful relationship with everybody there. More than 90 staffs were there. So the boss, everything, everybody, like a family, big family. On a particular day, they are all good people. Just to tease me, we can say. They brought a paper and showed us in Tamil. Iduvum sannyasama. Is this sannyas? 3 photos of Gurudev. One, he sits on the front seat of the ambassador car. On those days, only ambassador car was there. And the driver was a lady. And that is the first photo. Second one, Swamiji sits, lot of ladies are sitting. Third one is Swamiji walking, lot of ladies are there. Iduvum sannyasama, is this sannyas? So the moment they showed us, we were taken aback. It is a photo, So we were little upset. But when we went there, we had a senior member. Both of us used to have this study class, on Thursdays. Only 2 people. When Swamiji comes, there will be so many. After Swamiji goes, it will be reduced to the minimum. So, Vasudevan by name. So we went and told him, we saw this. We thought he would also become upset. But he smilingly said, why don't you go and ask Swamiji himself? Nervousness is there, So we kept quiet. But still it was there in the mind. On that day, after Swamiji left to the Yajnashala, immediately the secretary, D.G.K. Reddy, came to the mic and said to the volunteers, if anybody is interested to spend half a day with Swamiji, they are welcome to do so. They can give their names. Spontaneously, we gave the name, and first was allotted to us. There was a senior devotee, you might be knowing, so certain people will definitely know, Mrs. Leela Nambiar, in whose house Swamiji used to come and stay. And she will be bringing Swamiji to the Yajnashala. A saintly lady. So we took half a day's leave and went there. We had no other job except to when somebody asked for Swamiji's program, we have to get in touch with him and then pass it on to him. That is the only work. All things are done by him only. So he was in the first floor, we were in the ground floor. After 2:30 or 3 o'clock, the phone rang, we took up. It was a lady's voice. And they said, will Swamiji be available today between 5 to 6 or something like that? So we asked all details. She was the principal of the Sanskrit college. So I said, we will give you a ring after 10 minutes. We went up. We are meeting Gurudev for the first time alone. So when we went there, suddenly we saw piles of letters were there on this side, and he was writing everything. There was no dictation. Every letter was replied by him, by hand. This must have been in 64, 65. So then, yes, young man, what brought you here? Swamiji, there was a phone call and these are all the details. What is the distance between Nugambakam? They say this house and that. What is the distance between their college and our Yajnashala? How much time it will take? Everything he checked up. So 6:30 we have to be there. There is no 6:31, no? Absolutely, there is no 6:31. 6:30 means 6:30. So we went, conveyed this to the principal. He asked, they will come or we have to go? Everything specific. They will come, Swamiji, to take us. Okay. So at 4:50 they came. Swamiji came from the ground with his mediyadi, tuck, tuck, tuck. He straight away moved. It was an ambassador car. He opened the door. He sat himself. Principal herself was driving. She sat on the other. 2-3 lecturers have come, ladies. They all got into it. He looked at me. Get in, man. As we were going, what had happened? Principal is driving, Swamiji is sitting, you are sitting with the lecturers. What happened now? And on that day, this particular quotation came. That is, it gets stamped in our heart. When you see the world through the goggles of limitation, the world seems to be finite. Yesterday, he made us to go through a mental crisis. And then the purpose was not known. And today he is clearing it, not vocally and not a word, single word. And he made us, young man, get into it, So we were, all these thoughts were welling up in our heart. What had happened? So then when we went to Vasudevan, we told him this. Swamiji has cleared the doubt. Then he said, you can't blame the reporter because he is viewing it from his own angle. That is why he was not able to raise himself. You cannot blame him. And it's a test of God. So this quotation, when you see the world through the goggles of limitation, when you see them with a perverted mind, naturally you will see that in a perverted way. But when you remove the glass, you will, nothing is wrong anywhere. So these are all some of the striking incidents or anecdotes that leave an indelible impression in us, so that it is a source of perennial inspiration for us. We are thankful to Swamiji for having given us this opportunity to remember him. Many, 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 many such incidents. Time is running out. Thank you all very much. Hari Om.
Hari Om. Hari Om. Can you hear me? Hari Om. Hari Om. So we sincerely thank Puja Swamiji for a wonderful satsang he has given us for last hour and a half. And how important is love and seeing God in everything. So Swamiji, we are truly blessed that you visited us here, and we are very, very thankful. And on behalf of Chinmaya Mission Dallas, some Guru Dakshina we are offering.
Okay. Hari Om. We will have 2 minutes Ram now.